Good morning, this is Shelby Law with the Great Basin Fire Potential Briefing for Friday, August 26th, 2016. There are no significant fire potential impacts expected for the next few days, as we're expecting some lingering showers and thunderstorms over southern and eastern Utah, with generally warming and drying elsewhere into the first part of next week. Yesterday's lightning and precipitation is shown here. Some isolated storms moved through southeast Idaho and western Wyoming, as well as over southern and eastern Utah, and a little activity in eastern Nevada. This image shows the number of days since rain. We're talking about 1/10 of an inch of rain. It's still been a very long stretch this summer without much rain in both Salt Lake and Reno. Reno coming in at 112 days, and Salt Lake almost 100 days since 1/10 of an inch has been recorded at those stations. Southern Idaho has also been dry for quite some time. One interesting statistic is that for Salt Lake, it is the driest summer in 14 years. Fire danger indices continue to be very high across the northern half of the geographic area. Some of those sites have come down just a little bit as we've seen some cooler temperatures and better overnight relative humidity recovery in the last few days, but still sitting very high, and as we go into this warming and drying through the weekend, those values will pop back up into the 97th percentile. This morning's water vapor imagery shows some lingering effects from the trough that's moving across Montana and a little low moving through Idaho today. That will help to keep temperatures cool for another day before we begin to warm up, and also may allow for some very isolated thunderstorms once again in southeast Idaho. Moisture continues to linger over southern and eastern Utah for another round of afternoon showers there. Southern Nevada may have a better chance of showers and thunderstorms this afternoon than yesterday, and we're still expecting fairly low relative humidities over much of Nevada and northwest Utah and southern Idaho. By Saturday, the effects of the low across the north will diminish, and generally warming and drying will begin to set up across a geographic area as drier westerly flow moves in. Thunderstorms will be limited to just the southern portions of the geographic area. On Sunday and into the first part of next week, continued warming and drying, limiting thunderstorm activity to just the mountains of southern Utah and the Arizona Strip on Sunday. 3-day precipitation accumulations are highest over the mountains of southern Utah and the Arizona Strip, with just a bit of precipitation possible over western Wyoming and southern Nevada. On Monday, high pressure builds into the area, putting our temperatures back into the upper 80s to low 90s across the northern valleys. We'll begin to see some hints of a low pressure system moving into the Pacific Northwest, which will likely impact the area for the second half of next week. On Tuesday, some moisture could wrap back into eastern Utah for another round of isolated thunderstorms, but the bigger area of concern will be over western and central Idaho, where we could begin to see some moisture move in there associated with a series of low pressure systems coming into the northwest. It's this time frame we'll be keeping a close eye on into the weekend. The main low becomes clear in the Wednesday time frame. An increased southwest flow will begin to pick up over much of the geographic area. Gusty southwest winds are expected to continue across the area for the second half of the work week as that low pressure system digs further south off the Pacific Northwest coast. Again, we'll be watching this system closely to look at the timing of the winds and also the chance for any precipitation to be moving into western portions of the Great Basin. The 7-day accumulations still show the same areas receiving the precipitation, namely the southern Utah mountains, the Arizona Strip, and portions of eastern Utah. Idaho, northern Utah, and much of Nevada will remain dry for the next 7 days, and we'll see if anything changes beyond that. The extended forecast does call for below normal temperatures moving into the first part of September, accompanied with above normal chances of precipitation, mainly over the Pacific Northwest, but some of that might dip into western Idaho and northern Nevada. Again, this is a signal of early fall trough-like patterns moving into the Pacific Northwest. The big question will be, how windy is it going to get, and how far into the Great Basin will some of that precipitation make it? This concludes today's fire potential briefing. Please check back tomorrow for the latest updates.